I was working with a family recently to help them better understand how much they were going to receive from their Canada pension plan, their old age security, and their US Social Security. And they were shocked to find out the amount that they were going to receive. Their actual line to me was, Bryan, if we knew we were going to get this much every single month, we would have retired years ago. If you have a Canada pension plan, an old age security, and a US Social Security benefit, we're going to talk today about what you might expect to receive in retirement. My name is Bryan Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst. I'm the founder of Retirement and Financial. We help simplify your cross-border retirement plan. Today, we're going to talk about how much you might expect to receive from your Canada pension plan, your old age supplement, and your Social Security benefit. A lot of people, when they come to us, they know they're going to receive something from Canada, but they've been gone from Canada for 20, 30 years. At this point, they're kind of given up or they've kind of forgotten about that money. What they're a lot of times surprised to find out is just how much money they may have coming to them on a month-to-month basis. What I want to do today is show you an example of what a retirement plan may look like, how much money you may expect to receive from a couple that we're going to show you today. So I'm going to use an example here of Mike and Sandy. And this is a situation that might relate to you. Mike and Sandy had, in this example, had both lived together, or they'd lived in Canada for 20 years after the age of 18. We're going to say both Mike and Sandy made 50,000 Canadian per year for those 20 years, and they can in all of those 20 years they contributed to their Canada pension plan as well. At that point, we're also going to make the assumption that Mike and Sandy had moved to the US. And we see this pretty often. We're going to also make the assumption that Mike continues to work in the US for another 20 years, and he makes $100,000 per year in the US. In Sandy, maybe she had continued to work in the US, but it might have been very minimally. Again, we see this a lot because, especially with cross-border retirees, because a lot of times a job brings one or the other spouse down to the States. That spouse continues to work, and the other spouse maybe takes care of the kids or continues to work, but might not have the same ability to work, and therefore doesn't earn all of the Social Security credits like the other one does. That's the example that we want to look at today. So there's typically three benefits that we typically see a person will qualify for in retirement. There's the Canada pension plan, there's the Canada old age security benefit, and then there's the US Social Security benefit. So let's start off by talking about the Canada pension plan, or CPP. In 2024, the maximum CPP benefit for somebody who is age 65 is $1,365 Canadian per month. Now, CPP, you can start your benefit at 60, and that benefit would be smaller, of course, or you could delay all the way up to age 70, and that benefit would continue to accrue for you. But we're just going to assume that Mike and Sandy decide that they want to turn their benefits on at age 65. And again, that maximum benefit is $1,365. However, that is calculated on the best 40 years of their earnings. And Mike and Sandy have only lived and worked in Canada for 20 years after the age of 18. So we're not going to assume they're going to collect that full $1,365. Now, the other thing that's a little bit unique to the Canada pension plan is you may find that as a spouse or one of these spouses didn't work as much because they stayed home to take care of the children. And if that's the case, they actually may be eligible for an additional benefit even in years that they weren't working or not working as much because they were at home taking care of the kids. I'm not going to use that as an example today, but just something to be mindful of. So again, we talked here that the maximum benefit is $1,365 Canadian per month. But again, that's based on somebody who's worked for 40 years. Now, in this case, we are saying that Mike and Sandy have worked half of that, right? We're going to say they've made $50,000 Canadian per year. They, contributed to CPP, and instead of getting that full Canadian benefit or CPP benefit that they're eligible for, they're going to both get half of that, or 680 Canadian per person at age 65. Again, I'm going to kind of translate everything to US dollars in these examples as well. So as a couple, we may find that Mike and Sandy would receive $1,360 Canadian, which would be about $1,000 US, assuming a 1.33 US dollar Canadian dollar exchange rate. The next benefit that most of the clients that we work with would qualify for is the old age security, or OAS benefit. Now, a lot of people get this benefit wrong. There's a lot of mistakes about this benefit. I don't want to go into all of the eligibility requirements about OAS. I suggest going into our website. We've also recorded a video about OAS, but I will say most of our clients do qualify for an OAS benefit. Now, the maximum benefit at age 65 for OAS is 714 Canadian per month. Now, again, that also assumes that you lived in Canada for 40 years after the age of 18 in order to qualify for that maximum benefit. Again, when we looked at it, Mike and Sandy were only going to be Canadian residents for 20 years after the age of 18. So they wouldn't qualify for that maximum OAS benefit. If they only were Canadian residents for 20 years after the age of 18, they would qualify for a reduced benefit. And in this case, we're going to show that they were there for 50% of the time, which means that they would be eligible for 50% of their OAS benefit, which would be 357 Canadian per person. Again, total, that would be 714 Canadian for a grand total of $536 between the both of them, US dollars, when we translate that to US dollars. The last benefit, and probably the benefit that gets the most complicated between this, is the US Social Security benefit. So US Social Security is based on earnings and years worked. Here in the US, your full retirement age is somewhere between 66 and 67. We're just going to use, in this example, we're going to use a full retirement age of 67. And again, I put it in as an example. We have clients that have earned more or less, but we're going to use the example that a person has earned $100,000 per year for 20 years. I put that into the Social Security calculator. They will give you an estimate based on your earnings. I put $100,000 per year for 20 years, and the Social Security calculator said that a person that has earned that much and put into Social Security for that long, they'd be eligible for about $2,700 per month at their full retirement age, which is the age of 67 in this example. Now, again, I don't want to get into it too much. I have some things on my website. We've also done some recordings about it. But if you have earned a Canadian pension and you've only worked in the US for 20 years, there's a really good chance that your Social Security will be reduced by that Canadian pension. The maximum WEP reduction is half of your Canada pension plan. And so we will use that as an example when we look at how much Mike and Sandy would be expected to receive in retirement. Now, in this example, I also told you that Sandy was going to work minimally or not at all here in the United States. And I wanted to show that as an example because it really shows the power of what a spousal Social Security benefit may provide. Again, people a lot of times are shocked to find out that a spouse who has never worked here in the States may still be eligible for a pretty significant Social Security benefit because his or her husband or wife has worked here in the States. That spousal benefit the maximum is half of the worker's benefit, assuming they both start their benefits at full retirement age, which again is age 67 in this example. So again, this is where it gets a little bit trickier, but in this example, we are going to say Mike has earned his own benefit. It was $2,700 a month in the example that we showed, but remember, we have to reduce that because of this WEP reduction, the windfall elimination provision reduction. After that WEP reduction, which is half of his CPP, we are calculating that his benefit would be roughly $2,445 per month starting at age 67. The other thing that we talked about was that Sandy really didn't work a whole lot here in the States, but she would still qualify for a spousal Social Security benefit. And that spousal Social Security benefit, in this example, assuming she starts her benefit at 67, the same age as Mike, she would receive half of his benefit, which is $1,222. Now, this is kind of worst case scenario for Social Security. If Sandy worked, if she also earned, she could have earned her own benefit. If she would have earned a benefit over $1,222, she would have gotten her own benefit instead, and this Social Security benefit would be even higher. I just wanted to kind of show you how important and nice this spousal benefit is if you've never paid into or paid very little into Social Security. So in this example, between the two spouses, we're looking at a family benefit of $3,668 in Social Security benefits. So let's put it all together, right? These are folks that have maybe left Canada 20, 30 years ago, and gosh, they're getting over $1,500 a month in Social Security benefits from Canada. In this example, they had worked and paid into the CPP for 20 years. That was resulting in a $1,020 per month family benefit. As far as the old age security, which is not have the old age security has nothing to do with paying into anything. It's all based on residency. Again, for somebody who has been a Canadian resident for 20 years, they would get a old age security benefit of $536 for the family. And then we're going to add on the US Social Security benefit in between the two of them. In this example, working 20 years from both a spouse benefit and a worker's benefit, we would be looking at about $36.68 per month. So let's put all of this together. All of a sudden, this family that spent 20 years in Canada, 20 years in the US, all of a sudden they're now at the age of 67, which is their full retirement age for all of these benefits. They're going to be collecting over $5,200 a month in just fixed income and retirement from these sources, over $60,000 a year. And not only are they collecting $60,000 a year, if they're retiring here in the United States, that money is taxed as Social Security, which is very tax favorable. They might be able to collect if this was their only income, that full $60,000 might be completely tax-free to them, both on the federal and state level. But this is just the fixed income. Most of the families that we work with have, RSPs and LIRAs and 401ks and IRAs and other retirement accounts as well, that they would be able to withdraw on top of that to help cover the other expenses that this $5,200 does not account for. And again, you can see how powerful this money is, how much it can actually add up. And a lot of times when we start to put this together for families, they're surprised at just how much money it actually is involved. The other nice things about Canada Pension Plan and old age security is that money can be deposited directly into a US bank account, and Canada doesn't withhold anything for taxes. So this is money that gets deposited into your bank account on a month-to-month basis. Again, probably doesn't cover all of your retirement expenses, but it's a pretty good start, right? I hope this was helpful. Again, my name is Bryan Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst. I'm the founder of Retirement and Financial. If you're looking for assistance in creating your cross-border financial plan, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find our website in the link under the comments below. Thanks again.